Hi everyone, my name is Dale Shadbegian and I'm the CEO of Cape and Plymouth Business, and thanks for joining us today. We are here to talk about a recent poll we had on our website. We're going to do a bunch of these. We just pick a question, we talk about the responses, and we'll pick some folks in the area and to see what they think, maybe what they're seeing, and add some more insight. First we have Robbin Orbison from CapeSpace.
Hello.
And we have Laurel Hartman also from Cape and Plymouth Business, and
Hello.
Matt Cronin from Boardwalk Business Group.
Hello.
How's everyone doing today?
Great.
Good. Fantastic.
Good. So we'll just jump right into the question, and we will talk about what we think it is. So we asked a previous poll on our website, how do you stay focused on your business during this time? We've got people working from home. We've got essential workers who may be distracted. You know, there's all kinds of things going through people's mind. And I was kind of surprised by the responses a little bit. Overwhelmingly, a lot of folks are sticking to their regular workday. For me, that's been difficult, and I'm curious to hear what you're hearing. A lot of people are using extra time to brainstorm ways to make their business better. Some are researching latest technology to grow their business. A lot of folks, about half of the respondents, chose that option. Obviously, big on people's minds, financing. There's a lot of things available right now. I don't know about you, but I'm getting a webinar request almost daily about what's happening. And then a big one that we don't always hear about or think about is keeping in touch with employees to see what they need. I know for me, I go through the day, I'm so busy, and I'm like, geez, I got to check in with everyone, see how they're doing. Like, everyone's life is kind of tossed up in the air. So Robbin, let's start with you. What do you think about these responses? What are you seeing? What are your clients talking about?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, certainly there's elements of, I think we're all experiencing elements of every one of those answers. I would say that I am absolutely not sticking to a work routine. Not sure I really even had one before because if you recall, we opened our second location just a couple of months before COVID shut us down. So, sorry, got a phone ringing there. You know, I was still trying to get into a regular routine of, you know, visiting both locations and such. So it never really happened. But it's kind of turned into, I work from home about half day, most of the morning. And then I, several times a week, I make the rounds to check out the locations to make sure that they're, you know, that everything's, you know, coffee is stocked and trash doesn't need to be emptied, and I pick up the mail. I think I'm settling into some sort of a COVID routine, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I'm actually, you know, like a lot of people, finding a little downtime, and that downtime is being spent for me mostly following a whole lot of industry webinars and reading articles to try to understand where the industry feels that we're going, okay? Because co-working is an interesting thing. Even though it's been around for about 50 years, it really only took off in the last 10 years. And so in a lot of ways, it behaves like a industry that is in an early stage of its life cycle. And so what happens when you have an early stage industry that gets interrupted by something like a global pandemic, you know, what happens to the industry? And so we're all watching that really closely to try to figure out, A, how we get through it, and B, you know, what we think our model is going to look like at the end of this, because we know it's going to be very different than it was before. So really spending a lot of time on webinars, reading articles, and talking to other space operators and industry thought leaders to try to, you know, plan for what the reemergence of my business is going to look like. So that's
You're spending a lot of time in other people who might be in a similar situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
What about keeping in touch with the staff? How are you? Is it And again, I said it escapes me sometimes. Are you asking them how are you feeling? And,
Yeah. So we have so Zoom, right? Zoom is my
right.
best friend. So we have a Zoom staff meeting every Monday morning. And the staff has, unfortunately, have had to cut their hours back. So the staff is only working 10 hours a week. But they are, they're kind of, I wouldn't say they're on call, but they keep an eye on their text messages and their emails. So as clients have issues, they deal with them as they come up. And we're all on group email and group text chat constantly because of, just real-time things that are happening at the locations. And that seems to have worked pretty well. We do the Zoom every Monday morning. We probably spend 10 minutes just talking about projects we're working on, or, things we think we should be doing, or, client issues we have to resolve. And then we spend the rest of the time just kind of talking about just personal stuff, books we've read, new TV shows we discovered, that kind of thing.
Sort of like water cooler gossip?
Yeah, like water cooler gossip, exactly.
Yeah, virtual water cooler. Yeah, I definitely miss my office, and really looking forward to getting back. My cat was playing with a CapeSpace pen today, and actually sent it over. I hope maybe muffins will be on your Facebook page, but it just reminded me, like, darn, I usually go to the office on Fridays. I'm gonna miss it today.
Yeah, we miss everybody, and that's one thing for sure. I go to each location a couple of times a week, and there are people there. I mean, not a lot. What we're doing during this pandemic is, since one of the symptoms of being an early stage industry is that we don't really fit neatly into the infrastructure of society. And so naturally, when the definition of essential business came out, of course, we're not, we don't fit into any of those, there's no way to interpret what we are according to those definitions. So we had to make our own decisions. And we decided that we're essentially closing to the public, but we are not locking out our members. So if you're a member and you want to go in and use the space, you can, but we're not taking walk-ins, and we're not, booking meeting rooms or anything like that for non-members. So there are people in, not a lot. I would say, maybe half a dozen people in each location are using the space on a regular basis. And the people who are using it claim to really need it, because there are some people for whom working from home just simply is not an option. So we're glad we're able to be there for them.
Great. Well, it was great to catch up with you and hear what's happening. And we'll go to Laurel. Laurel, what do you think about the poll, and how, bringing your own perspective for our business and our customers? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely hearing all of these things from our clients and the people I'm talking to. So definitely, I think this is a good pulse of what's happening. With regard to keeping to a routine, I find that I am most productive when I do that. I feel like I'm at a bit of an advantage because when I'm not on the road, I work remote anyway. And so that's been good. The biggest change being that instead of just having my coworker be my cute dog, I also have the two daughters at home trying to do their schoolwork and, asking for bagels and sandwiches and all that good stuff. So that's the biggest change. But I find that when I get up at a regular time, work out, shower, put on at least clean leggings every day, that I am most ready to tackle that to-do list and get the things done that I need to do. So when I get off of that schedule, I'm not as productive. So that's what I've been finding.
Well, I can say my personal work schedule is crazy. Sometimes I don't sleep at night. I wake up at 4 a.m. and you seem to always be on. So I don't know, maybe you may be in Robbin's shoes where your routine is probably not like a 9 to 5. I guess as a business owner, your routine's it's a little off anyways, or, if you're managing clients or whatever, you're kind of working all over the place. How are you finding it? I guess this is an internal question, right? How are you finding it communicating with everyone on the team? Is it has it been harder because everyone's at home and maybe not as much used to it? Or like, what are you seeing? Or with your clients? I know a lot of our clients have offices and they're at home and people have come and gone. Like, what's that been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, within the team, we all kind of worked remote anyway, so we were all communicating um, via mostly email,
Right.
some texting. I find that now that we have done some best practices with regard to sharing Google Docs, that I think things are getting even more productive when we're more on the same page, which is great. I will say that I find it's a little harder to engage customers. Um,
Sure.
and in some ways not. Some people are more difficult to reach um, because maybe they're in the midst of trying to help somebody with math. um,
Or
but
bagel.
but I also find that people are pretty willing to talk. They're like, oh, you want to talk? Oh, yeah, let's talk, because they're ready for an adult conversation. So I think it's kind of, not 100% one way or the other. Yeah.
Cool. Great. All right. Thank you. So Matt, what are you kind of seeing out there? What's happening at Boardwalk and with your customers, your clients?
Yeah, we are very busy. There's a lot of questions that you referred to about the CARES Act and a lot of help that we provided and calculations and loans and all that sort of thing. But, so it's really been more of the same for us. We work, like Laurel referred to, we work remotely. So we have a little bit of a leg up and, have hopefully figured out over time how to, keep that balance and, by, really ensuring that you do the basics, you focus on the basics. And so we get a lot of our clients and others that are reaching out and that are nervous and anxious. And part of what we're all trying to do is just breathe, take a breath, kind of bring it back and focus on some of the things that that are really critical for ourselves as human beings, as well as for our businesses. So, we're seeing a lot of there's silver linings if we look, and we see a lot of organizations that are really taking their time to be able to really focus on making the business better, as reflected in the poll results. By doing things like really strategizing about goals moving forward. One of the things that we recommend to a lot of our clients is a book called Get a Grip by Gina Whitman. And it's a great book that, that many of our clients have read as well. And it just talks about organizational checkups. It has a lot of good tools that can be used at a time where all of a sudden there is, for many businesses, some additional time to kind of think through, what your short-term and longer-term goals are and kind of go through that organizational checkup. From a financial standpoint, we see a lot of our clients that are asking for help related to, cash flow projections and, putting something together that, provides some peace of mind and provides a kind of a roadmap for where things, may be going moving forward. So, we're helping and, just trying to help everybody, get through this challenging time. And, but like I said, I see a lot of people doing a lot of good things that I think are really going to pay off for, for all of our businesses, once we can get through this thing.
Sure. This isn't directly related to the poll questions, but I'm just curious. I have experience in building or modeling, and your customers, are they, I know you have work with a lot of different clients, but building and remodeling, are your customers more new construction, or are they doing like existing renovation, or both?
Yeah, I think, Robbin was talking about before about the Jimmy Kimmel terms that, we've heard so much, right? The term pivot probably was on that list.
Yeah, it was on the list.
Yeah, we use that
absolutely.
word quite a bit.
So we see a lot of, a lot of contractors out there that, that are, that may, normally work on, large scale and new construction that are, focused on renovations and things of that nature. So you do what you can to, right? It's to get, money in the door and to make it all balance in the short term with the hope that, soon enough, businesses will be booming again.
Right. Are there any new, so I'm just curious, in that industry, is there any new technology that's come out? I know for one thing, a lot of building construction might be fixed costs, right? Or contract. And then something like this happens, it might really increase the cost of doing a project. Are there any new tools out there or anything? I'm just looking here, people are researching the latest technology that can grow their business. Is there anything new that might come out of this pandemic that's happening that would help those businesses?
Yeah, I think, just in a general sense, we've seen in the past a resistance for organizations to be web-based, whether that's, financial software or other software. And the reality is that there are a lot of, web-based tools and software as a service that can be leased as opposed to, purchased that is advantageous. So, if one of those silver linings that may be there is that people are rethinking the way that they, do things. And, so whereas in the past there might have been more of a hesitancy to do that, I do believe that what we're starting to see is people, researching and beginning to utilize and figure out how to use software, for many reasons, whether it's customer relationship management software, whether it's financial software, and everything in between. So we definitely see, more willingness to consider alternative means and software systems, which I think is a good thing in the long term.
Can I jump in and make a comment on that?
Yeah,
question?
of course. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that, obviously I follow what goes on in the co-working industry very closely, but I also follow what goes on in the commercial real estate industry very closely because it's where I came from and it's really was where the, co-working is an offshoot, a sector of commercial real estate. And I don't define my business model narrowly, I define it very broadly. So I cover it or I follow it. And what all the talk is about in commercial real estate now in terms of, just to address a question about construction, right? This is maybe more about design, but the reality is that what is going away in commercial real estate is density, which is a real issue for co-working operators like me, because we're in a business that's based on density. I mean, our whole model is, to squeeze as many people in as you can. And that's gone. Right now, everybody is going to need to be, practice social distancing for, an indefinite period of time. And so what we're seeing is new design coming out to help people maintain social distancing in the workplace, which I think will ultimately affect, obviously, construction. So,
Right.
things like color-coded flooring that shows people where to walk to avoid, getting, passing some within 6 feet of people. And we're seeing more of a movement towards, there was already a very big movement towards smart buildings, right? Automatic, you can tell your Alexa when to turn on your lights or whatever when you're coming home. But even more than that now, we're seeing products hitting the market where, for example, right now, if you go into CapeSpace, you want to get a cup of coffee, you go up to the machine and there's a touchpad, right? Well, everybody doesn't want to touch that same touchpad after a million other people have touched it. So maybe now there's an app on your phone that's connected to that coffee machine, so you can choose your latte and your beans from your own phone without having to touch the the communal touchpad. So, so I think the design and equipment that goes into the workplace is changing, and that ultimately, you know, the construction companies will be affected by that.
Or Robin, you
Yeah.
could just put a little dish of Q-tips right there for people to use to touch the buttons.
Actually, what we put out was a little, what we put out are containers of disinfectant wipes, but guess what's happening to them? They're
They're disappearing.
disappearing.
Yeah.
We even
Yeah, people are
put, I
taking them
even
home.
put labels on them that said, "Please do not steal me." And they're still disappearing.
It's Q-tip trafficking.
Yeah,
Q-tips might be easier,
yeah, maybe.
safer.
Wow. Well, unless anyone has any parting words, this has been great. It was great catching up with the three of you, kind of getting some perspective. Anyone have any parting thoughts before we go about our day?
Yeah, I'll make one parting thought.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Pivot safe.
Pivot. No, wait, I have one follow-up to something Laurel said, made me think of it, which I didn't mention in my original when you asked me the question, what am I doing? But keeping lists of things to do has become more important than ever. I really find that if I don't have a robust system of keeping lists, that nothing gets done. And by robust, I mean, it's not just a to-do list. I have a project list, I have a task list, I have a today list, I have a list for each of my staff, I have a team list, and keeping that list organized is really the focal central point of my day. So the list gets done, things get done. I think
I'm
they
glad
say
you
in
mentioned that. I added
BNI
that to my list, Robin.
what?
I added that to my list. Thank you.
Add that to your list. Make a list.
All right. If that's it, have a great day. Really appreciate you joining today, and have a great weekend.
Okay, thanks, Dale. Bye, Laurel. Bye,
All right,
Matt.
thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye.
Great to talk to you guys. Bye.